Houdini, the Great and Powerful, by CrackedInkwell, Chapter 7, of Locks, Knots, and Spells. Once every pony had settled down and the drowning device was removed from the stage, Houdini entered with his clothes fully on and for the final act of the night. Before we draw the show to a close, he addressed his equine spectators. I want to take a moment to thank you all for being such a wonderful audience. They applauded for a moment before Harry continued. And now, for the third act, I'm going to do something a bit different than what I normally do in my shows. I'm going to do something interesting. With a wave of his hand, an assistant came on stage to sit a chair beside him. If there's anyone who knows how to tie the knots, or has a pair of cuffs that you think would keep me in place, I invite you all to join me on stage and do whatever you feel to keep me secure to this chair. One by one, Houdini was joined by various ponies, most of which were the magicians that were present during his escape from the prison, Trixie included. Once Harry sat down, the assistants brought on stage ropes, chains, locks, and cuffs for the ponies to use. The magicians took hold of the locks and cuffs, examining each of them very closely, to make sure that they were real. Meanwhile, a couple of ponies that had naval cutie marks started tying the human to the chair as best they could. They bound his hands behind his back, his feet to the legs of the chairs, and tied strong sailor's knots to the front of his chest. This was quickly followed by the unicorns as they slithered chains around Houdini's neck, waist, arms, and legs, followed by padlocks that held it all together beneath his seat. Last of all was Trixie, who held two pairs of cuffs in her aura. As soon as he placed each pair around his wrists and ankles, her horn shot out a violet light to encompass the cuffs. "Just what did you do?" Houdini asked. Trixie smirked. "I'll have you know, Mr. Houdini, that I just placed a spell on those cuffs that will alert me if anyone should try to use magic to tamper with them." She then walked up and whispered into his ear, "Let's see how you get out of that." My, you certainly underestimate me," Harry said as he walked off stage. Once everything was settled down, Houdini addressed the audience. "Since I could sense some scrutiny as soon as you were tying me up, how about I place a special bet?" This got everyone's attention. "If I cannot get at these bonds that you place on me, and I admit defeat, the ones who tied me up will get a share of the money that our tickets have sold tonight." "He can't be serious," Tracy whispered to her assistants. "Is he really that confident?" "I'll admit," Mr. X had said softly, "the earlier stuff might have had some sort of trick behind it, but there's no way he's going to get out of that." "How do we know if it's a trick?" Pepper's Ghost questioned. "For all we know, it really could be done by magic."
"That's why I placed that spell on his cuffs."
The two assistants turned to their boss.
"If magic is involved, then it will explain everything. But if he somehow gets out without it, then that means there's some clever trick involved."
The cloak! Everybody turned their attention to the human, quickly noticing that the cuffs around Houdini's hands were the first to fall. Before their eyes, the human moved violently around his restraints, causing the chair to tilt side to side until he fell over. Soon, the chains loosened around him. Ropes unwound and untangled as he flipped around the stage, almost like he was being attacked by snakes. Locks were left behind as Harry moved around, and the second pair of cuffs fell soon afterwards. This made Trixie raise an eyebrow, as her magical alarm spell hadn't gone off. It was clear to her that there was no magic involved, but at the same time it just added to the mystery of this human. If magic as she knew it wasn't involved, and there was indeed a trick, then how was it done? How could it be done when none of the magicians could detect anything that would aid in his escape? Finally free of his entanglement of rope and chains, Harry Houdini stood. The free human received a thunderous applause from the equestrians. He took a bow, stepping forward and gesturing to both sides of the stage, for everyone that held him as they too took a bow.
"Madame,"
Trixie ignored Pepper's ghost voice. deep in thought. Her assistant called out for her again. "What?" she replied, annoyed. "The cab has already stopped." Trixie looked around, finding it already stopped in front of her apartment building.
"Oh, thanks."
She got out of the cab, trying up to the driver to pay him.
"Miss Littlemoon,"
Mr. X had said,
"this Houdini fellow, what do you think of him?"
"Well," she said as she hoped over 5 bits,
"He knows about suspense and presentation, that's for sure." "Think he might be a threat to our show?"
the other twin asked.
"I mean, those tricks he did were incredible. I've never seen any magic like—" "I don't know if it was really magic,"
their boss interrupted.
"In fact, I don't even know if it was all some elaborate trick or something new."
"New?" She shook her head.
"Don't mind it. Get some rest. We have some practice we need to do for our show tomorrow."
After saying their farewells, the twin assistants rode off, leaving Trixie Littlemoon alone with her thoughts once again.
"Okay, from what I've seen, either this Houdini does his tricks with something simple, like a hidden pick, or he possesses some kind of supernatural magic that we don't know about."
By now, she was already through the door as she made her way to her apartment.
"Of course, the only thing that's bothering me is how. How could he have done it? Perhaps with the help of assistants? No, we would have all noticed. Besides, those cuffs were certainly real. As for the locks, ropes, and chains, even I couldn't break them. But what if it was all an illusion? Perhaps he at some point performed some kind of illusion spell to make it seem like he was tied up, or that he was in the water, or that I signed my name on—"
She shook her head as she neared the door to her little home.
"Oh, come on, Trixie, think! Everything that the giant has done was all a trick. It has to be. What else could it be?"
Even as she entered her apartment and fought onto the couch, a word kept coming to her mind, yet she kept refusing it. There was no way that this thing could perform magic without a horn. She never minded to admit herself that he was capable of magic as she pulled her cloak over her eyes, drifting off to sleep. Perhaps this was a new kind of magic, completely unknown to Equestria. Maybe it was a form of human magic.
Chapter 8. Whispers of Children. "Now that my assistant is strapped down to the wheel,"
the boy magician announced as he walked away from the circular piece of wood that Pepper's ghost was currently strapped into, an unusually calm look on her face. Her sister, meanwhile, held up a bag of knives for her boss, though she looked worried.
"I shall let it spin while I put on my blindfold."
Trixie lit up her horn, activating a machine that started turning the wheel while facing a blue fabric over her eyes. Of course, the three of them knew that the blindfold only made it seem like she couldn't see, when in fact she could.
"And now, the great and powerful Trixie will throw all 15 daggers at her assistant without harming her."
She reached the hoof into the bag, pretending to feel her way around. Lifting the first knife over her head, she called out, "One!" before throwing it, missing her assistant, but hitting the round board. Even though the daggers themselves were real, Trixie's horn was what really guided them, the glove hidden beneath her hat. As she counted, she made sure that some of the sharp pieces of steel only hit a few inches away from her, causing the audience to be on edge as the number of knives went up.
13!
The dagger landed a little too close to Pepper's ear. 14! Another hit against the wheel, but didn't fall off.
And finally, 15!
With the last knife in the air, she guided next to her opponent's assistant's neck. There was a sigh of relief before Trixie heard the applause. Yet somehow, the cheers, stomping, and hoof-clopping seemed quieter. After taking the blindfold off, she turned around and found the theater wasn't exactly full. Once the stage had been cleaned up and ready for the next night, Trixie made her way home on her usual route, passing the gleaming theater bearing Houdini's name. After the decent sales that made that night, there was a lot for the unicorn to think about. Soon enough, she was on her street nearing her apartment. Rows of buildings had most of their windows open, letting air into their rooms and letting the conversation come out.
"You should have seen her,"
Trixie heard a little colt's voice say.
At the end of her show, she somehow got the diamond to appear under her hat while she was blindfolded, tied up, and swung upside down over a pony. There was nothing but a burning rope to hold her up.
Here this made the Midnight Unicorn smile with pride. At least some pony was talking about her.
Oh, come on, another voice joined in. You weren't there at Houdini's show. He was so much better.
Trixie's smile dropped to a frown.
I mean, you haven't heard half of what he did. He was able to get himself locked in jail, in handcuffs, and still got out. He was able to escape out of a locked box, filled with water, and upside down, too. He even got some of the audience to come on stage to tie him to a chair. He had ropes, hoof cups, chains, everything, and he was still able to get out. It's like no matter what you put that guy in, he somehow finds a way out of it. So what? Another commented. The human got out of handcuffs. What's so weird about that? That's where things get crazy.
Trixie turned to the windows, where she spied the two colts. Although their backs were to her, she could still see them talking face to face.
I was there when he did his show yesterday. The Great and Powerful Trixie was there too.
Really?
Yeah. Rumor has it, near the end of his show, when he asked police to come on stage to tie him up, she came on stage too. First he placed some handcuffs on him, set an alarm spell on him, so if he or anyone else tried to use magic on them, she would know. But the weird part was, even when the cuffs came off, nothing happened. The other colt was taken back. What? Yeah, he nodded. So far, no pony could figure out how he did it. I heard that even left Trixie stumped. You know what? That's exactly why I think Houdini is the bear magician. At this point, Trixie's mood soured further. I mean, when you think about it, whenever you go to a magic show, have you noticed they're always unicorns? The air cult nodded. Whenever you go to these shows, you think they would try to do something impossible using their horns, like levitating a key to unlock or something. But Houdini gets into the most dangerous things that would be impossible to get of, and he doesn't even have a horn. So tell me, how do you think any pony would be able to get out someplace like a jail cell without magic? The air cult paused for a moment. I don't know. How do you think he did his stuff? He shrugged. I don't know. It kind of makes you wonder what he's going to do next. At this point, Trixie continued homeward with despair in her head. At least this explains why the theater wasn't completely sold out. It was all because of him. For her, this went far above anything that this mayor in Ponyville had done to her. Oh no. This human, this hairless ape, this giant Houdini was doing something that she hated above all else. Stealing her audience. It was clear she had to do something quickly. Going to his shows wouldn't be enough. She had to find out exactly how he'd been able to do all of his impossible stunts. Look over the flat rooftops, along with the fact that Houdini's theater wasn't very far, gave her an idea. Chapter 9. Houdini the Human. By the time 11 o'clock came around, the Great and Powerful Trixie had arrived to the roof of her apartment building. Considering that both their shows started and ended around the same time, she guessed that Houdini's theater was probably empty by now. If there was ever a chance for a unicorn to take a peek at what really was going on behind the scenes, it was now. She jumped across several buildings at once, thanks to her teleportation spell. Even from the flat of the rooftops, it wasn't difficult to pinpoint the human's theater, as it stood towering above the apartments. The massive brick wonder was a spectacle, even with the front lights turned off. Its titanic shadow in the moonlight accurately portrayed the illusionist himself. When Trixie finally got into the roof of the structure, she found what she had hoped for, a way in. In the area where the stage was, she managed to find a metal trapdoor and the light of iron stairs slithering downward. Before she opened it, she paused, noticing that even though the trapdoor had a latch clearly made for a lock, it had one. Why would a magician leave their theater vulnerable to a break-in? Even though her thoughts set up a few red flags, she decided to cautiously continue. Using her magic, she lifted the cover and quietly crept her way down the ladder. Her hind hoof felt the floor of the catwalk, and she carefully lowered herself onto it. Looking over the side, she could see that the only thing illuminating the theater was a lonely ghost light that stood in the center of the stage. She could also see some props that were set aside off the stage, glowing in the pale glow of a single light bulb. She grinned,
This is almost too perfect. All she needed to do was get down there and really examine these tricks up. Click! Trixie's heart nearly stopped when she suddenly was bathed in the light of a flashlight. You know, I'm not all that surprised that someone has decided to break into my theater, said a familiar voice. To tell you the truth, I have been expecting it ever since we got here. Even though the blue unicorn's hose were frozen in place, she turned her neck to confirm who was holding the light. The figure was tall, and his white shirt almost made him look like a ghost. But Trixie knew who it really was.
Uh, Mr. Houdini.
She could hear the steps echo as a slender figure drew near. And sure enough, it was Houdini. Right. I think I remember you. Aren't you the same pony from my show the other night? What do you think you are doing here? Well, he questioned, tell me why you tried to sneak in before I get the cops over here.
Okay.
She waved her hose.
Just hear me out.
Harry folded his arms while keeping the light on the unicorn.
Okay, before I say anything, what are you still doing here? I thought this place closed hours ago.
Super. I want to make sure that my secrets are secure, which is why I always tend to be the last one to lock up before I leave. And what do you know? Just when I was finishing up, I happened to run into you. So now you tell me, why are you here? Also, what was your name again?
Trixie, she gulped. Look, I know what you're thinking, and no, I'm not really here to steal your tricks.
Then why are you here?
Houdini pressed on. Trixie let out a defeated sigh. Because I just wanted to know how you did it at all. I honestly didn't want to steal directly from you, but I wanted to understand how someone who isn't a pony could do the things you do. For Celestia's sake, you broke out of prison, teleported cards into the audience, and even escaped a death trap that no sane pony would do, even if they had a horn. How do you even do it? Is it all just an elaborate trick? Or do you have some kind of bizarre magic that even I'm not aware of? I don't want to steal from you. The Great and Powerful Trixie isn't interested in copying what somebody has already done, but wants to do it her own way. Yet, I hate seeing something I can't understand. And to be brutally honest, you're driving me crazy here. That's why I came alone. I just wanted to know the truth and how you did it. I came in here so I could have some peace of mind.
In the dim light, she could see Houdini nodding his head. You're right about one thing. I do not claim to possess any supernatural powers, because I don't. Yet I am the only one that's able to do tricks that no one can explain. Yes, I'm saying that everything you saw was a trick. Clever ones that have taken years to perfect them to where they are now. Since you told me your intention is to copy me, I won't press any charges against you. But understand that if you do something like this again, I'll have the police arrest you for breaking and entering. I am trying to play nice, since my wife, and my troop are doing our best to make good President of land we're not sure how we got into. But for we're nothing but strangers in an even stranger land.
Trixie nodded her head downward, nodding. Trixie understands. I am sorry for doing this. I just wanted to know and put this mystery to rest.
Please, follow me. Houdini turned around, as the regretful unicorn followed close behind. You say you're a magician?
Oh yes, one of the best in the city.
I guess that explains it.
She looked down at him, confused. What do you mean?
You showed me as competition you don't know how to handle. At this point, he started climbing down the ladder that led to the stage floor. But to be honest, I think in this strange country, I really have to work hard to impress beings that possess real magic. Tracy looked down.
Real magic? Don't you have some sort of magic where you come from?
He laughed. Trust me, if you were to appear in New York, and do something as simple as using your horn to pick up a pencil, folks from all over the world would come to see, and pay you every little penny they have just to see you do a single trick. Oh no, where I come from, magic may not exist, but some of us like to pretend it does. Both the human and unicorn magicians landed on the backstage floor as they continued to trek through the theater.
So in other words, she said, everything you've done, all this magic you performed, is really just pretend.
Yes, but I would be an idiot to give away how I really did it. Trust me, I've debunked plenty of phonies pretending to be me, saying they can talk to spirits and such. In a way, even though my wife and I see you all as adorable ponies, I cannot help but look at unicorns like yourself and feel a bit jealous. Just see you do something like this. He turned around and swiftly threw a red ball at her. By instinct, Trixie's horn lit up before the rubber ball could hit her face. Houdini took the opportunity to wave his hands through the aura that shimmered around the ball. You see, he remarked, no strings, no magnets, no mirrors, just magic. Real magic. That's why I envy ponies like you. You're able to do all this naturally. I, on the other hand, had to figure out a way to fake it. Houdini took his floating fall back, causing the unicorn to let it go.
I see, Trixie nodded. Before you showed me at the door, Trixie would like to thank you for giving her some peace.
Just don't try to break in anytime soon. Houdini added as he entered the foyer of the theater. He took a key out of his pocket and unlocked the entrance. Did you say you have a show?
Yes, what about it?
Since we're new to this place, and you ponies have magic shows of your own, would it be too much for my wife and I to come to see your show, to see how things are done here? That took Trixie by complete surprise.
You want to see my show?
Both as a way to extend the other branches as it were, and to take some notes for our big show on Saturday, that I hear one of your princesses is coming to see. And speaking as someone that had to perform for royalty, I know impressing one of them is already a tall order.
She blinked. One of the princesses is coming to see you. Who? Which one?
He put a finger underneath his chin. Said something about raising the sun or some nonsense like that. Her jaw dropped.
Oh, I envy you so much right now.
Hey, at least the tickets for that show are still on sale. His eyebrows started as he snapped his fingers. I've got an idea. What if we do a trade? I'll give you tickets for that show if you give me 2 tickets for yours. Deal?
She blinked. You, sir, are really weird at this. But Trixie will accept, just so she can see more of those tricks that you do.
Houdini tilted his head at the tilted his head. How come you would occasionally slip to the third person? The unicorn, however, walked out the door.
Trixie doesn't always have to explain herself.
Chapter 10. Straitjacket in Times Square.
So, where exactly is this restaurant again?
Mr. Action asked their boss. The twin had noticed as soon as rehearsals for tonight's show were over. Trixie decided to take them to lunch. What was even stranger still was that despite the lack of a full house last night, the blue unicorn seemed oddly confident.
We're not too far,
she said as he turned to the corner.
We just need to get across times, and the place will be right on the other side.
The trio entered what the city claimed was the busiest place on the planet. The street was very well known by its residents, being the place where lost tourists roam. Traffic jams occurred for those unlucky enough to be traveling by cab. Vendors sold their wares every dozens of yards. The homeless would beg, pickpockets would steal, and groups protested, and the occasional street performance. As soon as the unicorn and her assistant stepped into the river community, they immediately noticed 2 things. There was a huge crowd gathering near the foot of a crane. Mr. Houdini was being secured to a straitjacket with a couple of Pegasi police.
What's going on?
Peppers asked curiously.
Is that Houdini?
Jackson inquired.
More importantly, Trixie added, what's he doing here anyway?
Thinking that lunch could be put on hold for a little longer, the 3 ponies approached the cluster of ponies around the human, noticing that the police ponies had just finished checking its straps. Now, we need to get one of those legs tied, they heard one of the officers say, as they now focused on securing Houdini to the hook of the crane. Soon, ropes were wrapped around him several times before the police tied his hind legs to the metal claw They began to hoist him up.
Oh, I get it.
Trixie nodded. Her two assistants turned to her with questioning looks.
He's going to escape from the straitjacket.
Hello, Manehattan, Houdini cried as the crane lifted him as high off the ground as possible. Ready to see something amazing? The crowd cheered in anticipation. Hey, you magicians out there, can you do this without your horn? And then everybody on the street saw the slender human wiggle and thrust around upside down on the hook of that metal arm, moving similarly to sea serpent out of the water. No one could help but watch him contort and turn violently. To her amazement, he managed to pull one of his arms over his head while the tight fabric slipped over it. Once that was done, he rocked back and forth, apparently trying to get the long fabric around his hands and hooked into his shoes. It took a few tries, but was finally able to when the audience below noticed his hands unbuckled a few places before it slipped off of him. With his arms outstretched and his jacket in one hand, the crowd cheered doing the impossible feat. Dropping his jacket, he set to work untying his legs. Before he did so, he swung himself over the metal arm of the crane, hooking an arm around it and undoing the knots. Like the loony jacket, he slipped off, allowing Harry to climb his way back down to the ground. That was incredible! That was really cool. It's fake! This got the crowd and Houdini's attention. Who said that? A cherry red stallion stepped forward, who Trixie recognized as Hoof Cuff, one of her many rivals in the field of entertainment. I said it, he announced. I bet that little stunt you pulled was all staged. I bet that jacket isn't even real. Houdini raised a gray eyebrow. Yes. Do you have a doubt that I missed? He strode up to the stallion, looking down at him. And just who might you be? Hoof Cuff, he said with a smug smile. I'm a magician too, and I say that so-called straitjacket you put on yourself is only made to look like that, and your escape was all just an act. This is fake, Harry questioned as he picked up that thing that was right around him only moments ago. Then, Mr. Cuff, how about I give you a challenge? If you wear this state jacket, get tied up by them. He pointed at the police, and escape the same way I did, I'll admit defeat. Cuff grinned wry. Done. With that, the police quickly put on the straitjacket on the unicorn stallion, while undergoing adjustments to make sure it fits nice and tight. Oh, and one more thing, Houdini added, turning to one of the officers. Did you say you have a ring that stops the unicorn magic? Yes, I have it with me, the officer said, producing a stony ring with strange symbols written along. Put it on him, Harry ordered, seeing the stallion's eyes widen. If it's so easy, I guess it would be fair if you weren't allowed to use your magic to escape, seeing as I don't have a horn. No, wait a minute! Hoover interjected, but was cut off when the unicorn officer placed the ring on his horn. Go on. Houdini leaned back on the crane. Try to escape like I did. The stallion started sweating, but with every pony watching, he realized he didn't have much of a choice anymore. Even though he wasn't hanging upside down like the human had done, he was still struggling to move his forelegs around. Even trying to pull it upwards didn't do him any good. Come on! He cursed when he fell out on the sidewalk, still struggling to get free. Finally, he stopped moving around and tried to catch his breath. Okay, it's real. Let me out! You see, the human helped the stallion up. No one can escape from a real straitjacket, like the great Houdini can. The police lent a huff unbuckling the jacket, freeing the embarrassed stallion as he left with his ears folded back.
Okay, even Trixie will admit that was an impressive trick he pulled off.
Hello again. The human knelt down to the unicorn. I liked the little show.
As intriguing as that was,
C says he pointed to Huff Cuff.
did you really have to do that to him? It's not that I blame you. Even Trixie doesn't like him. But was humiliating him like that really necessary?
Hey, he tried to call my escape an act, so I have to let him try. But most things I do are tricks. I do tend to use real stuff in them. Besides, it shows him who the real expert in the art of escape really is. She was taken aback.
That is brutal and humiliating. I think I'm beginning to like you already. Speaking of which,
Trixie took off her hat and briefly showed Houdini that it was empty. before reaching in and producing 2 silvery trinkets.
You wish to see Trixie so here are 2 for tonight. That is, if you don't have anything planned.
Harry took the tickets before putting them in his pants pocket. I think I could cancel my show for tonight and give everyone a rest before the big show for that princess lady.
Very well. I promise to give you my best performance.
Trixie replied as he turned back to her dumbfounded assistants.
Forgive me, but did you just give tickets to our show?
Pepper's questioned.
Yes.
Isn't he one of the threatened Yakuras?
Ladies, relax.
Trixie says they began walking away.
Perhaps it would be wiser to win him over. Think about it. In some way we become partners, friends, what have you. We might share our tricks with one another. We could dominate the magic scene in Manehattan. Perhaps all we need to do is be nice to him, and he might return that same kindness. So don't worry. I don't believe that this will be the end of anyone's career, after all.
In case any of you are curious, I know how Houdini did that straitjacket trick. He did it by